Today on the Stay Visionary podcast, we're joined by Tarra Stubbins, founder of Take It Easy, based in Nashville, Tennessee. Tarra, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
I want you to start off by telling me you have a very interesting journey. You were born and raised in Canada, right? And take it over from there.
That's where you stop. So probably the most interesting part of my journey, I decided to follow my dream when I was about 15 years old. I actually decided to drop out of high school and jump on a rock and roll tour bus and head across Canada supporting a band that I had never heard of, that no one had really heard of, that I didn't know. It was in the days before cell phones, so my mother could not track me. She really wanted to kill me at that point. She was not a fan of my decision. And the tour bus wasn't really a tour bus. It was more of like a dirty van, but I did it. I really had a desire to I always thought that I was going to be a star, but I knew that I didn't have any rock and roll background or any musical inclination. I just loved listening to it and I wanted to be part of it. So I did it and I absolutely loved it. I fell in love with not necessarily the fact that I was in a dirty van going across Canada, but that I kind of got a little hint of helping people and understanding that even if I was getting a coffee for them or sweeping the, sticky beer off of the stages at like 3 a.m. or picking up their dirty underwear off the van floor, that maybe something that I was doing was potentially helping them live a more successful life and achieve that dream. And I don't know why that stuck with me, especially at 15, but it did. And that's what I wanted more of. And so I, finished that tour, went back to school, finished high school. But the second I finished high school, I wanted more. I wanted more of that lifestyle and I wanted to be in that business and an assistant. That's all I wanted to be. And I ended up working my way up through a number of different bands. A couple of them you've probably heard of. I worked for the Rolling Stones and supported Mick Jagger as his personal assistant for 2 world tours. I supported Kiss and Nickelback and the Red Hot Chili Peppers and a number of other ones, Lady Gaga, a number of other really high-profile bands, and I loved it. But I had this one, again, moment where I thought, I love helping people and I love being in this space, but I just wish I could help more than one crazy rock star at a time. So I decided to leave the touring world and open up my own business. And I say it like that because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know I was opening up a business. I had no business background. I was a dirty roadie. I had no idea what I was doing. So but I just had this desire to just help more than one crazy rock star. And so I did. I kind of fell backwards into this business. And through that, I was always craving other people that were running businesses so I could learn from them. And this was in 2007, and there wasn't a lot of resources then. There wasn't podcasts, there wasn't co-working spaces, there wasn't really networking events that you could go to and learn from others. And I was always craving that community. And when I found the first co-working space that opened, I wanted to be part of it. I was like the second person to join. I volunteered at the front desk. I just really wanted to be part of that community. And through being part of that community, I realized that, these other founders were getting stuck at this level of success that they couldn't necessarily get over, and because they didn't have that strategic partner behind them. And I was like, well, I can help you. So I started helping them for free and kind of fell backwards into running that business too. Yeah. And so now my business is really built on helping what I like to call accidental CEOs, kind of like me, who have an idea and don't even know that they're really starting a business or running a business. And they just want to concentrate on their idea and what they're good at and kind kind of leave all the other operational stuff to somebody else.
Yeah. Excellent. And then, so from there, you kept growing. And where did you head from there as you're growing?
So that started my kind of executive assistant arm, where I had a large team helping me with hundreds of different clients that we were helping. And we grew that company to making over 750 MRR. So it was massive growth and success through that company.
What was the name of that company?
Take It Easy. It's always been Take It Easy. Yep.
We weren't taking it easy.
We're taking it easy. Yeah, there's lots of taking it easy for clients. And I actually really enjoy sharing this story, not because it's a fun story, but because I feel like others can really learn from it. So I grew that company, as I said, to about 750K RR. And because I didn't have the business background, I didn't have necessarily the right team in place. And I built the company way too quickly through metrics that I was just vanity metrics that I was just chasing for no reason. As I said, not the right team that I kind of built around me. That business actually crashed. It crashed and burned to the point where I almost lost my house because I had so many bad business loans stacked up on it trying to keep the business afloat. So it overextended is an understatement of really what happened in the business. So yeah, it was a disaster and it crashed to maybe 20K MRR in a matter of 3 months. So it really, it just crashed. But it was built not on a rocky foundation. It was built on no foundation at all. And so I had a lot of time after that to figure out, who am I? What do I want to do? Should I just go back on the road? Maybe I'm not a good business person. Maybe I should just chase rock stars around the world again. But again, always had that dream of, I just want to help more people like me, these kind of accidental CEOs. And maybe if I take a step back and really concentrate on, people who have creative ideas, who have a really interesting business model and just don't understand the business like me and take it a little slower, then maybe I can kind of rebuild this business. And that's exactly what I'm doing now. So instead of executive assistant, it's a chief of staff business concentrating on influencers, athletes, celebrities, because that was the space that I was comfortable in. I kind of grew up in that space and taking their ideas from their head to actually launch them in a systematic and operational way.
So they don't fall on their face.
And also so they can concentrate on what they do best. So again, if they're an athlete, if they're a pro football player, they can concentrate on the game and the training and allow us to concentrate on whatever their bigger brand picture is, or maybe they want to start a sock company. We just had a former quarterback who wanted to start a children's book line. So, all these ideas of kind of what to do next, we can help them kind of bring that into light.
So what gave you that faith after completely falling on your face from, a lot of people would say, a very successful business, to taking another big leap to go at it again?
Yeah. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm just not that bright and I just go at it no matter what. It actually took me probably a year and a half to really figure out what I was doing and why I wanted to do what I was doing and where I was going. And I had a lot of false starts too, which I don't think is talked about a lot because, you hear people say just like at the beginning, kind of chase the numbers or chase the clients and then figure out what you want to do in the long run. But that's what ultimately crashed my business is I was just chasing the number. I was just chasing the revenue and they weren't necessarily the right aligned clients for the business. There was other problems too, but that was one of the bigger ones.
Right.
And then when I kind of restarted, I found myself doing that again because I was like, okay, I just need to make some money. So I'm just going to take some clients. But this is really what I want to do over here. But I'm just going to ignore that for a moment until I kind of do something over here. And by doing that, I was actually confusing myself. I was confusing the audience. People were like, "What do you do?" And I was like, "I don't actually know what I do." I'm all over the place. So I had to stop myself again and come back and actually realign. But I think really where I'm
You hear that stuff, like, because it seems like you became aware about a lot sooner than when your other business. And how did you reel yourself in? Say, okay, I got to gather myself and put it together.
I think it's because of the lessons that I did learn with that massive failure. Like, I'm a huge believer in everything happens for a reason. And I can't just take it as, that was a massive failure. I'm just going to sweep it under the rug and try something new. Like, what lessons can I actually take from that and bring into the business? And so I would get little creeps, little ideas, little insights of, oh, this is actually what I was doing before. I need to stop that. Like, I need to stop for a second and figure out what I actually want to do. I think a lot of it too came from almost PTSD from the horrible situation that happened in the business. So I would take on a client and then they would start showing signs of being a client that I didn't want to work with. And I was like, oh no, here we go. We're doing this again. So it was a lot faster because I'd had that experience before.
And so you're taking those lessons. What do you think was the biggest issue or pain point that when you're scaling your client's business is to get them past that? What do you think the biggest pain point is?
I truly believe that it is a understanding what goal to go after at what time. We don't hear that a lot. We hear, set your goals, make sure that they're SMART goals, make sure that they're measurable. You can, break them down into, what you even have to do on a daily basis to be able to hit that number. Yes, we have to do that. But if you're setting a goal that's ahead of, say, another goal that's you need to build the foundation for first, then your business is going to fail. And that's what happened to me because I was just setting numbers because that's what I saw all the very powerful, successful people did who I was surrounded with and working with. They would set a goal of, I want to, sell 1 million records, or I want to sell out this stadium. Or I even had the opportunity of working with Richard Branson, and I would see these massive numbers that he would want to hit in business. And I was like, well, I just have to hit those numbers. And so I did everything to hit those numbers, but the foundation of the business wasn't there to bring in 50 clients a month. We didn't have a hiring structure. We didn't have a team alignment. There was nothing in place. And so, sure, we brought in 50 clients, but that wasn't the goal we should have started concentrating on at the beginning. We should have concentrated on what is our hiring plan? What is our pipeline? What happens? Who actually is our ideal client? Are we just bringing in a number to bring in a number? So I think that people really need to concentrate on what is your goal, and is that the right goal to set at this time? Or should you set another goal first and have that goal as a secondary goal once you hit this first goal?
Can you explain what you mean by at this time setting goals?
Yeah. So I just mean in this kind of time you are in your life right now or in your business right now. So again, if you're saying, I want to hit my goal in 2026 is to hit $1 million. I'm not revenue. That's great. I'm not saying that don't set big and lofty goals. But if currently you are making, 100K revenue, I'm a huge fan in stretch goals, don't get me wrong. And I'm not saying that you can't hit that goal, but maybe you should think of another process or another kind of goal that will help you with that $1 million revenue. So if you're selling a product, maybe you have to get your shipping in order first before, or more streamlined or whatever it is, before you can actually, sell that many units. Or maybe if you sell a service, you need to figure out your hiring pipeline before you can actually scale. So set those numbers. That's great. but maybe not in 2026. Maybe there's some other number you have to hit first before you can hit that million.
That makes sense because, you could have these lofty goals and like you said, there's nothing wrong with it. But if you don't have the infrastructure, say you do explode to handle it and then boom.
Yeah. And you hear it all the time too with like products going into large stores or chains. Everyone wants to get into Target or Walmart or whatever it is. But can you handle that? Can you handle the order?
Yes.
Yeah. So let's think about a goal that we should hit before that. And then you're not going to crash and burn your business just because you see that $3 million from Walmart coming in as a price tag.
So how do you manage currently your operation, scheduling, client communication, things like that?
So internally, I try to keep it as simple as possible. I am a huge believer in the fact that we can overcomplicate a lot of things. There's a ton of productivity tools out there. There's a ton of apps. I think the last time I checked, the productivity industry was worth like $8.2 billion or something like that. And I'm sure even probably more now with AI being kind of classified as a productivity tool. But yeah, I feel like we can go down massive rabbit holes of, this app is amazing for me, but maybe it doesn't do this. So maybe I'll use this app to do this. And then you have like 6 different apps. So yeah. I personally try to keep it as simple as possible with very minimal tools. For my clients, we try to use whatever, again, keeping it as simple as possible with minimal tools and tooling systems, but we use whatever is comfortable for them and whatever makes sense. So if you say to me that like every client has to use, say, Monday.com as their kind of project management tool, I would argue with that because not every company would fit into the specific infrastructure of Monday.com. Maybe you need a ClickUp or a Notion or a Trello or a spreadsheet. Maybe you don't need to overcomplicate things. So I always look at that.
What you really need.
Yeah, exactly. People always ask me if I get a kickback from like tools like that. And I say no, because I would feel so horrible if I tried to push something that actually wasn't worth, working specifically for the company.
Right. You see all the time and companies just getting tools to get tools basically, but they're not really, like you were saying, working together, as one and really to help you. And it ends up not helping you and causing more confusion sometimes.
Yeah.
Speaking of AI, how have you brought that or have you into your business and businesses, the ones you serve, to help you, or has it not been as what you as advertised?
It's actually really interesting. So I think and you're the AI expert here, so maybe I'm wrong, but I think that to the general public, when we say AI, most people think of like the question and answer one. So like ChatGPT as like AI, right? But AI can be so many different things. It can even be for us, like using a simple Zap and Zapier for, it connecting a productivity tool, maybe when you're out networking to automatically sync to a CRM or a spreadsheet or send an email or whatever, however far along you are in your company and what you're doing. Again, we try to simplify it as much as possible. But there's like amazing AI tools out there for very specific problems and industries. So, we work a lot with athletes who are starting family offices. And there's like an AI specific tool out there that helps with kind of setting up a family office and also kind of evaluating the deals that family office may be or going after, like within the tools. So there's tons of ways that we, through the different kind of tooling we use for the specific clients that we help, will bring in AI. And, just general too, for my own purposes, I use different AI tools for my own marketing, for my own social media, for like lots of different things. I'm a big fan of Claude or Claude or however you say it, AI. And I know everyone's making the jump right now from ChatGPT over. But yeah, I would say that I'm definitely using some form of AI on an hour by hour basis, really. We're even using it now recording. So yeah.
Right, correct. And you see automation with AI really helping streamline processes, right?
Totally. Yeah. And it's interesting because we get compared a lot to like virtual assistants or even executive assistants. That's how I started my career I started as a personal assistant, but then built into an executive assistant. And then people always say, well, aren't you worried that AI is going to take your job away? And right now, no. I find that AI is like in the early days of, when secretaries got a typewriter, they weren't worried that the typewriter was going to take their job away. It just made them more efficient. Sure, there's things that you can automate and you don't have to do, but a ton of the time, that's stuff that you don't want to do anyway. Like I'd be more than happy to automate that stuff. Right. So I just think that it's just allowing us to be more efficient if you use it properly. If you're using it as just like a copy and paste and go, obviously we're not there yet in the AI world. But if you're using it properly, I find that it's such an efficient tool.
Yes, and you said it efficiently and properly, bringing it all together. And it really, I feel if you do it correctly, it really frees up time. So you or your assistant or thing get on a higher level task, right? Instead of the ones nobody wants to do.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of how and why I started my business in the first place was how about you concentrate on what brings you the biggest ROI and I concentrate on everything else? How much is your time worth? Do you want to be doing this or should I be doing this? And it's the same now with AI. Okay, now your assistant can concentrate on even bigger tasks that you don't have to do, and you can concentrate on even bigger tasks. Like there's always room for that human element to be helping.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's not right now, it's not taking it away. Yeah. Maybe in the future.
Yeah. We'll just have like, something feeding us and we'll just sit there with goggles on.
Yeah. Yeah. I always say when people are talking about like setting goals and how, it's like kind of like forming a habit of actually achieving those goals. It's not something that you can just like go and do and,
right.
I achieved this goal. Like you have to actually work at it and create that muscle to actually to achieve that goal. And one of my goals, every year I set this goal and I'm horrible at it. I always want to drink more water. And it's because it's a habit that I have to form. I can't automate that. I can automate tracking my water. I can automate a lot of different things, right. But there's no robot yet, maybe there is, that's going to like come over to me and pour water down my throat every 30 minutes. That's something that I physically have to go, okay, this is what I'm going to do.
So with all this AI and we're talking about automation, what could automate 3 things in your company tomorrow? If you could pick 3 things, what would it be?
Yeah. So I feel like I'm pretty efficient with the automation right now. The 3 things that I love being automated are obviously for me, I run a relationship business. So managing my little black book of clients is the most important thing that I can be doing. And it's a very complicated kind of system because there's like VIPs, there's referral streams, there's like direct clients. So all of that automation and when to reach out and who was and all of that is automated right now for me and streamlined, and I love it. I would never be able to be where I am today without
It's saving you alone.
Oh, and even not just time, even like the mental capacity of, I have to remember to reach out to this person because I haven't talked to them in 3 weeks and I should be top of mind. Like just that mental capacity of freeing it up and knowing that I like sending personalized, sometimes text messages and things like that. So I would just get a ping, send, whoever a text today or right now, and then I'll do it. if I really want it to be personalized. But yeah, so much time, but that mental capacity is definitely something that people I don't think about, that just like weighs you down too.
Yeah, it really, and then that ultimately helps you grow, right? Because you're saving time. We talked before about that AI doing tasks nobody wants to do, but complicated things like you just talked about, scheduling and, a certain criteria for certain clients, that could be mind draining if you had to constantly remember. And again, what does that do? It frees up time for you to grow your business.
Yep.
And get a lot more ROI.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, Take It Easy Group, where are you headed in the next, I was going to say 6 months, but really the next year? Where are you guys in terms of growth?
Yeah. So we kind of just started our I guess I do have a wonderful team journey of, who am I and what am I doing about 6 months ago. So very new on this kind of rebirthing path. But our goal is really to prove our worth in the marketplace of, this is what we can really do for this very specific niche group of people. And then personally for me, I'm a huge believer in helping people as much as possible. And some people can't, afford my services. So as many stages or podcasts that I can be on to share my story of, my failure and what I learned from it. And hopefully someone can take a little nugget away from that. That's kind of what I'm trying to push forward for myself personally.
Awesome. And you have a podcast coming out soon, right? It's called, what's it called?
Am I allowed to swear on this podcast? So the podcast is called Fuck the Fluff, and it really is about that journey, sharing those moments of, I fucked up, but this is actually how I thoughtfully got through that problem. I think a lot of times I hear when I talk to entrepreneurs, their biggest pain point is always, what's keeping them up at night is how am I going to make payroll? Or if you're a solo entrepreneur, how am I going to make my rent or my mortgage payment or put food on the table? Which is great. We can all, bond over that. But how did you make that next payroll? You told me you were laying out in bed until 3:00 in the morning, stressing about making payroll. That was 3 months ago. So you obviously made payroll. How did you do it? And sharing those hard stories and hopefully like really thoughtful moments to be able to help someone kind of trigger some sort of creativity and be like, oh, maybe I should try that to help me in this hard part of my business. And, skip over the fluffy advice.
Yeah, the standard, what everybody says and get more into real life situations like you did. I mean, for all purposes, you had a very successful business and you're not the first and you won't be the last, right? That it crumbles beneath. But the key is what? To pick yourself up, learn, and you are a perfect example of that. And that's amazing. And, you should be very proud of yourself. I think that is
Thank you.
I think that is incredible. I mean, amazing. It really
Yeah, thank you. Definitely some hard journeys. So, and again, I feel like I've gone through this to be able to help others. So anyone out there who has heard this story and is going through something similar, please reach out. I think you're going to probably leave like my contact information, maybe in the show notes. So,
where they could reach you and we already know the name of the podcast that's coming soon.
Yeah, coming soon. Fuck the fluff. Stay tuned. But my website's takeiteasygroup.com. I'm very active on LinkedIn. So please reach out and, make a connection request and tell me where you found me and heard me. And again, I'm more than happy to set up a quick call and help you through any hard times that you're going through in your business as well. So my LinkedIn's just my name, Tarra with 2 R's, Stubbins with 2 B's and an S at the end. And I'm sure that will be in the show notes.
Excellent. All right, Tarra, this has been a very powerful conversation about growing your business, collapsing, how you pick yourself up, and really scaling to another level in this fast moving world. For those listening, If you're an entrepreneur or executive feeling overwhelmed by operational bottlenecks, there's a real opportunity in combining human excellence into automation. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this episode with anyone passionate about innovation, leadership, or the future of intelligent automation. I'm Ed Moran, and as always, stay visionary.